Welcome. I'm Paul Kavanagh, and over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to make your Realtor website more attractive to seniors. And the first step in doing that is using the right language to introduce yourself. So, the changes I'm going to focus in on are ones that you can make at little to no expense. So, the focus here is on language rather than on web design, which can actually get pretty costly. So, the first question I have for you: if you provide an extra level of service to downsizing seniors compared to the average realtor, do you highlight that expertise on your website? In fact, I know a lot of realtors who don't. So let's talk about introducing yourself and how to do it effectively on your website. This is an example that's not a realtor example. It's taken from the website Psychology Today, and it's a listing of psychotherapists. And what you see here is one record in that listing. So Karen Hansen, who's a psychotherapist, is on a web page, and her description is along with a whole bunch of other psychotherapists. So if I'm looking for a psychotherapist, I'm scrolling through, and this is the entry I see when I arrive at Karen's record here. So she's listing her credentials. She's talking about, 18 years working with individuals who are facing mental health disturbances of various kinds. Now, this isn't all that specific. In fact, if I am looking for a psychotherapist, I may not think of myself as someone who is facing a mental health disturbance, or at least that's not the language I'm likely to use. So let's look at another example here of a psychotherapist who uses a different sort of introduction. So, Mike, although you see his credentials listed at the top here, in his description, he doesn't start talking about himself. He talks about the people who he serves. So sometimes people get stuck, and that's language that I'm more likely to identify with rather than having a mental health disturbance. Individuals and couples come to me for counseling to talk about a variety of problems. Things like conflict in relationships, anxiety, depression, overwhelming stress, and the list goes on. But if I see my problem in his list, I go, aha, here is someone who at least focuses on the issue that I'm concerned about. So I'm much more likely to click and find out more about Mike than I might have with Karen. So the thing to keep in mind here is that being specific helps you stand out. So seniors who visit your website should understand you're not just a run-of-the-mill real estate agent, and that you have something special to offer them specifically. And listing your credentials just on its own is not enough. First of all, if you have a designation like SRES, for instance, and you don't spell it out for people, then they won't even know what that stands for. But even if you do spell it out, they may go, I never realized there was a realtor who specialized in serving seniors, but I'm still not sure why I would want to turn to one for help. So here's an example that I've developed here. This is a fictitious realtor, and this is an introduction that's trying to be specific and at the same time appealing to any seniors who might want to read it. And this is highlighting her credentials without being too forward with pushing her credentials and herself. So it says, looking to downsize from your current home in the Bakersfield area, but overwhelmed by the thought of sorting through everything you've accumulated over the years? I can support you through the often difficult process of getting a home full of memories ready for sale. As a realtor, I specialize in this type of move. In fact, I help my own parents downsize, so I understand it from a very personal perspective. So you see how this is really different, right? So it's not only identifying that she specializes in serving people who are downsizing, she's even identified some of those emotional issues that people might be going through. She's focusing in here specifically on, sorting through all the things that you may have accumulated over the years. And She talks about not only is she a specialist, but she has a personal connection having gone through this with her own parents. So I think there's a potential here to develop an added level of trust. And it's only done in a few lines here. So this particular introduction, I think, can be a lot more successful at making someone visiting your website read on. And if you still have more that you want to tell about yourself, more of an extended biography, you can simply have something like a button learn more at the bottom of your short biography, and that will take people to more detail about you. Now, you may not only serve seniors. Perhaps you focus in on seniors plus one other niche. Let's say first-time homebuyers, or you might want to have more of a general purpose bio, but highlight services for seniors elsewhere on your homepage, and that's valid as well. Elsewhere on the website, you can have different sections where people can go to find out more about that particular specialty. So, this is a typical look for a lot of realtor websites where you might have a place where you can click to view homes for sale in the area. And then here's a section on downsizing or right sizing. So if that's what I'm interested, I might click there. That might lead me to a very specific bio about Maya that's focused on downsizing. And other information about downsizing that I might find helpful. And then similarly, buying your first home. If I'm a first home buyer, I'm more likely to click here. So again, you want to differentiate yourself from realtors who don't have the same focus on downsizing. So when you're composing your biography, there are all sorts of different things that you could potentially consider. And here are a few different points. I'm not going to go through them point by point, but it just gives you an idea of there's a lot of things that you could be drawing on, either in terms of the reasons why you got involved with seniors in the first place, some of the things that you've been able to do for your seniors clients. These are all things that will be important to highlight whether they make it to your short biography or not. What you want to do is, after considering a lot of those different things, distill your answers into a couple of lines. And when you do that, think about what you write from your client's point of view. So it's less about selling yourself, and it's more about helping your audience understand how you're different from other agents in a way that's relevant to them. And I mentioned you could have an extended bio if that those short few lines aren't enough to kind of cover your expertise. You can include those leftover points that you consider important in an extended biography, but I don't think it should be too long, 2 to 3 paragraphs at max, because the point is to get your audience interested in you, not to tell them everything about you. So that's it for this particular video. Just want to invite you to a 30-minute no-cost coaching call. I offer this to realtors who want to find the right words to attract seniors. And you can sign up for that by either using the QR code or entering the URL that you see on the screen. So I hope to talk to you soon. Bye for now.